What's up everyone, John from ARTV. I have exciting news for you guys. Obviously, Green Day, my favorite band, are releasing a brand new album, Revolution Radio, on October 8th once again through Reprise Records. Leading up to that, I'm going to be reviewing nearly every single Green Day album. That's right, I'm talking redemption reviews, replacing some of the reviews that I did in the past that I'm not so proud of, or else I feel like I just didn't expand enough on what I actually thought and felt about that record, couldn't put it into words properly. So starting with 1992's Kerplunk, I'm going to be reviewing every single Green Day album except for their debut, 39 Smooth, which I have big plans for at some point in the future. Be patient, it is coming. And of course 2000's Warning, which I reviewed just last fall. It hasn't even been a year since I put out that review, so if you would like to watch that and any of the coming Green Day reviews, there's going to be a playlist linked in the description down below. All of this is going to lead up to the Revolution Radio review and then my top 20 Green Day songs countdown. So I'm super excited. These guys are my favorite band, and I'm finally going to be giving back to you guys by reviewing every single one of their albums. And obviously 39 Smooth, there's an asterisk next to that one. It's coming at some point. So let's go ahead and dive into Kerplunk. At this point in their career, Green Day had made a name for themselves by playing like little DIY venues. Obviously Gilman Street was a huge one that everyone seems to harp on. They were obviously not allowed to play there for a very long time because they were too mainstream. They had sold out, and all those labels that especially applied very strictly in the punk scene. And Green Day emerged with this record, Kerplunk, which was definitely punk rock at heart, but had a lot of other elements to it as well. We saw thoughts of boredom, just getting out of suburbia. Welcome to Paradise, the original version, was featured on Kerplunk and obviously was re-recorded for 1994's Dookie, but I really like the raw feel of this entire record. I think they totally captured angst, youth, and all of that stuff perfectly on Dookie, but they really started showing signs of life with Kerplunk. And I'm sad to say that up until recently, I hadn't spent a ton of time with this record, and I was doing myself a disservice because there's so many great songs on here and a lot of different subject matters. One for the Razorbacks, one for one of Billy Joe Armstrong's friends, just this girl that he met that was from Arkansas. And then we've got Android, a song about a homeless guy that he met one day while him and Trey were getting coffee. And I feel like these songs definitely can be interpreted a lot of different ways, but I've obviously done a lot of digging into Green Day stuff considering what a big fan I am. So it's really interesting just to see all of the meanings of these songs explained. Speaking of unexpected subject matter, we have who wrote Holden Caulfield, a character from The Catcher in the Rye, a very popular novel, one that is often required reading for students in like middle school, high school. Billy Joe Armstrong did not want to read this book growing up, but he later read it and regretted it because he was like, this is awesome, this is totally punk rock, and he ended up writing a song from this character's perspective. Kind of a mischievous character. It fits with Billy Joe and the rest of the band's attitude at this time. Trey Cool coming through with these awesome drums on this track. This is the first album that he recorded with Green Day. So happy he joined the band because I feel like that is the best thing that really happened to them. Not to knock their original drummer's skills, it's just that Trey is the fucking man. And then Mike coming through with these awesome bass lines. Mr. Dirnt was so talented early on. Not only on this track do I want to compliment that, but really all throughout. I love the bass breakdown in Welcome to Paradise and the moments like Christie Road where it stands out a little bit more prominently. A track that is a little bit more melancholy. It's like reaching, it's longing because he wants to go back to this place from his childhood. Maybe he would party with his friends over on these train tracks and he wants to go back there, but the bass is really what carries this track. The bass lines bump up and down all throughout this record, and I see it standing out on the tracks like I mentioned. Adie, One of My Lies, that and the guitars really just carry this. It's a very fast-paced track. That one in particular, he's really just calling out a bunch of bullshitters on the track, and the guitar and bass groove really just meshes with that perfectly. The drumming is flawless as well. It's really hard to believe that a band this early in their careers, especially someone who came from the scene that they did, were just playing such detailed music. They have these very nuanced guitar patterns, and the drum hits aren't just your traditional fast-paced punk drumming that doesn't have any change-ups or anything like that. Trey was throwing in all sorts of his personality into this record, and obviously Billy Joe was as well in terms of the lyrics and the guitar structures on this, and I'm so proud to call this one of my favorite Green Day albums at this point. The vinyl edition of this record only has 12 songs on it, but there's actually an extra 4 tracks if you have the cassette or the CD version. And I do have the CD version. Obviously this is the version that's on Spotify and Apple Music as well. I will link to that down below if you've never heard this record, but there's 4 songs songs at the end, and some of them did take a while to grow on me. I don't care for every single track on this album, including ones like Sweet Children. It just gets a little bit repetitive to me, especially with the shouting. It seems like they kind of got like a gang vocal thing going on there, and they definitely pull it off at other points in this record. I just don't feel like Sweet Children is one of the standouts for me. And there's a couple like Words I Might Have Ate. It is a solid closer for the vinyl edition of this record, but with it just being stuck kind of near the end, it tends to get forgettable if you are listening to this thing in full. I recommend listening to tracks like that by themselves. Maybe you'll appreciate them that much more. There's a couple of tracks that I've heard a few too many times to really care about. Surprisingly, Welcome to Paradise is not one of those. I'm always loving the guitars on that track and just kind of the nonchalant, like not caring. At first he's worried about moving out, but then he's like, why would I ever come back? I've always loved that. It's kind of like a dark track disguised as one that gets used in a bunch of kids movies for some reason. But other tracks that I really do tend to skip over are ones like Christie Road. I just don't really care for that track's tone at this point. It gets a little bit old, and once you hear it too many times, you just don't really see yourself coming back to it that much more. Maybe give it a few years and I'll be back to it. And tracks like the My Generation cover, originally performed by The Who, it's one of those ones that it's just like, people play this all the time. Even if they don't know Green Day, they might know their cover of it, so I'm a little bit sick of it at this point. I will say that I'm loving two of the tracks that close out this record. Best Thing in Town is a fast-paced punk punch, and then right after that we get Strangeland, which is talking about like not knowing exactly where you are, what's going on, what's happened to your life, but you're gonna make the best of it and have fun while you're here. I love this record. Kerplunk definitely has not gotten enough listens from me or enough love over the years, so it was definitely time for me to give it a review. My absolute favorites, probably at this point, especially while listening through it, 2,000 Light Years Away, Private Ale, One of My Lies, Adie, Android, Who Wrote Holden, Caulfield, No One Knows, Best Thing in Town, and Strangeland. I may be a bit too hasty whenever I say this is becoming one of my absolute favorite Green Day albums, because it definitely is working its way up the list, but it's probably somewhere in the middle, honestly, at this point. I'm doing a lot of digging into Green Day, even more so at this point. I call myself a huge fan. It's time to bone up even more on my knowledge. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Me personally, I'm gonna go with a 4 for Green Day's 1992 release, Kerplunk. Thanks for watching my review of Kerplunk. Don't forget to leave a like on this video to let me know that you're excited not only for this review, but for all of the upcoming Green Day stuff that's gonna be coming on this channel. I know I'm super excited. Let me know your thoughts on this record and maybe their new single, Bang Bang, that just came out, the lead single from Revolution Radio. If you haven't seen my track review of that, or another Green Day review that I've done, you can click those little annotations there, or you can check out the Green Day playlist linked down below. All things ARTV and Green Day can be found there. Thanks so much for watching, subscribing to the channel, because friends don't let friends go unsubscribed. Other than that, I'll see you guys very soon right here on ARTV.